Hey guys, Wages World here, February 24th, 2020. Sorry I didn't give you guys a video this weekend. Been dealing with some sick kids and stuff. And I'm that OCD parent anyway. I worry too much about my kids. I know I do, but I can't help it, guys. Just who I am. And honestly, I wouldn't even change that part of me because I do care. But, I was a parent that would go in when they were infants and check on them 20 times a night, put my hand on them and make sure they're still breathing. I just couldn't rest unless I did that. But anyway, I'm going to give you some official numbers here, okay? Again, these are crap as far as total number here. But there's a couple interesting things I'll talk about here. The total number right now is 78,000 confirmed cases, and then you got 2,600 have passed, and 25,000 people have recovered officially. Okay, right at about 80,000, basically. Now, they break it down into countries here, right, guys? This is the Johns Hopkins site. What I found interesting, and I didn't really notice this until Mike and Cindy mentioned it over at Evolutionary Energy Arts during their show last night. Italy has got 157 cases officially. Now, that by itself isn't so odd, but the fact that it jumped up past Japan is very odd, in my opinion. Geographically, that just doesn't work out. Not in my mind. I know that modern day travel kind of bridges that a little bit, but still, geographics does come into play when we're talking about data we're getting. That is most definitely plays a part on how viruses spread. It's very evident. Just go over to China, go over to the map. Well, matter of fact, I will, let's back out of that. There it is. Look. Okay, where's all the cases at? Well, they're right there. Right? And then you go over here. Why that? That's Italy. Okay? And then again, guys, I've said this since the beginning. Hardly anything, only one case in Africa. All right? And none in South America. Come on. Really? I'm having a hard time buying that, guys. And the U.S. is up to 35 cases. So, there's your update on that. I'm not going to talk a whole lot more about that. But, guys, just do what you can do. I do know that the doctors have pretty much been told not to even try to test for this, at least over here, for the mere fact that I don't think they really want us to know the real number. But the other thing there is they're just going to treat it like the regular flu. And in some ways, I understand, but in most ways, I don't. Because they don't know exactly what this thing can do yet. Okay? It does act different. It does do different things. There's different stuff involved because it's mutated. It's a mutated gene, or a mutated virus, I'm sorry. And, one of the questions we all had is, how fast can it mutate again? And if it does so, what happens then? And most likely it probably will mutate, but who knows when. And then again, if it mutates a couple times, again, guys, I don't know what the time frame is on what can actually happen naturally. Now unnaturally, I bet they can make it happen like almost right away. But like in a lab setting, like where we think this came from, right? But anyway, there's your update on that, guys. I'm not going to spend a whole lot more time on that. There's not really a whole bunch to talk about on that one anymore because, I think a lot of us have done what we can. I'm still going to talk about it and give you updates and stuff that I hear. But at this point, it's going to be what it's going to be. And as sad as that is, now one thing I will say is I do look, and this, like I told you guys in my previous video, if the flu just miraculously got healed today, okay, there's still going to be a trickle down effect of the loss of production coming out of China, okay, because these people are not working. So that means that anything that's being exported out of China is definitely on the low end of things. Okay, and there's some video and stuff that you got, and you can go look at anywhere on the internet pretty much, and you're going to start to see that the shelves are getting bare at the grocery store. It's affecting people, especially over in Europe right now. Okay, so all that stuff. It doesn't even have to necessarily be the food. It can be what the food is packaged in is why they can't get it to you, like bags, plastics. All that stuff, right? People don't think about that. Okay, yeah, the produce might be grown locally, but when you go to the store and you grab it up in that bag may be made in China. That's just a fact. So if they can't transport the produce, how you gonna get it? And that goes for anything, meats, all of it. So there's a whole lot to think about there. Pharmaceuticals, guys, is one of my biggest fears. Okay, I'm not sure exact percentage, but it's a pretty high percentage that the base ingredients for a lot of the stuff that we take over here on a daily basis is out of China. A lot of that comes from there. Not the only place, but so you're talking across the board gamut. It could affect all pharmaceuticals. So, that is something we need to take in consideration when we're talking about this. For those that take daily medicines, please keep your eye on this. Okay? So there's my update on that. Okay, guys, I got you over here at SDO. I'm really only showing you this for one reason, is because, and I do this almost every time this happens, but this one's a little bit special, okay? I'm going to show you this, and when you first look at this, I might even use it for my thumbnail because it is kind of interesting. You're going to freak out, okay? If you don't know what this is already, you're going to freak out. It looks like some crazy eclipse, okay? Technically, it is an eclipse, but it's not what you think, okay? It's because of the satellite, where the satellite's at, and how the satellite moves. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here in a minute. And I've shown it before, but this one is kind of nuts. But this does give me a good chance to show you why this is looking so nuts. Before we even look at any of that, if you look on the edges here, guys, on the limbs, and something else I want to point out. When we're talking about the sun, if you hear us say west limb, okay, when you're looking at a map, which way's west? Over here, right? But when we're talking about these satellites and the sun, that's actually east. Okay? So if you hear somebody say, hey, that's the east limb of the sun, and you look at it and it's on the left, you got to understand that that is the east limb of the sun. That's not, it's reverse on what you would think. Okay? I just wanted to point that out for anybody that, catches that vocabulary and it kind of puzzles them. Why did they say it like that? Did they make a mistake? All that kind of a thing. It's not a mistake. That's actually the way that it is. So, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play this, and you're going to see right away. Now, we've had some CMEs, and I'm going to show you some stuff that Scott was able to catch, and I'm going to kind of tie it into something else that we caught, about a year ago, and I'll show it to you here in a minute. But check this out. Okay, see that little flash? We see that all the time, but watch this. Here it comes. Here it comes. See that? Isn't that freaking wild? Anybody that's never seen this particular satellite do this before, or any satellite do this is really the one that does it the most, like this anyway, because and I'll show you why here in a second. So I'm going to hit play again, let you guys see it again. But the main reason this does this, because this actually is in geosynchronous orbit, which means it's tied to the Earth in a specific spot. Okay, I think this one is over top of Central America, or kind of down that way. It always stays there, but it's always pointed at the sun. So when it comes around the back side, sometimes the moon and even the Earth can kind of give it what we call this eclipse. Okay. Because basically the Earth and the moon gets in front of this, between the satellite and the sun. Okay, and it is all about angles and how it moves, and I'll show it to you here in a second. But please understand that there's going to be somebody that comes out here and says that this is something that it's not. Okay, they're going to say, oh no, call whoever, the apocalypse is coming, here it comes, there it is, there it came, it circled right on top of the sun and went back the other way. That's not the case. Okay, so we'll look at it here again one more time. I'm going to show it to you in the 304 here in a second too, just so you guys can get a different look. Now you see how that does that? See how it kind of, I'm going to pause it. See how it went like this, kind of that motion, there's a reason, okay? And hold on to that thought for a second, and I'll show it to you. But before we get over to that, I'm going to show you the 304 real quick, because if you notice, guys, look at the limbs. Look at the edges of the sun. Okay, obviously you've seen it there, that do that. But I'm talking about the filaments. Okay, look at the filaments dancing around. It's pretty active on the edges of the sun right now. It's active right in front too, guys. It's no different. We just can't see it moving as much because the sun's the background, not the darkness of space. That's why we see it on the edges better. Now, if you go up here and you can look, you'll see these things dancing around. They get pretty intense. And again, guys, none of this has left the sun, it doesn't look like. So that's good. But what you're going to see here, we'll check down here, because I did kind of think that maybe some of this one might have left. Let's see what it does here. But yeah, so it may blow out a little bit of plasma off of that. That filament might go out into space a little bit. Let's see what it does here. So yeah, if it does that, that would be energy leaving the sun. And it would be, if it was facing us, we would have to pay attention to it. And obviously this isn't. So, but one thing I did find, guys, interesting is that when we do see this eclipse, the satellite actually moves a little bit. That doesn't typically happen. I don't know if that has anything. See how it kind of shook? All right. That little vibration, maybe it was trying to move to focus because it thought it was something different or what. Or could have got hit with some solar wind and it kind of bounced the satellite around a little bit. But for it to happen just when it comes in there like that is kind of odd. So I don't know why that did that, but it did. Maybe the camera has a setting on it that if it sees something like this, it tries to reposition, and that's just what it's doing. But let me show you why it's doing this. Okay, guys, this is the animation that they got on their homepage, SDO. And this is actually real time, okay? So this is going to tell you exactly where the satellite's at right now. And if you guys watch this, you can see it shows where the sun's at in relation to the satellite in this top picture, okay? See how the sun's kind of up at the top there and how this thing is rotating? Okay, this is why we're seeing that eclipse. Okay, as you can tell, if you look back here, the satellite's back here, the sun's over here, and it looks as though the Earth is coming between it at a specific angle. And that's why we're seeing that. I'm not sure if the moon is involved in this one or not. Sometimes I think it does get involved there a little bit sometimes. But I don't know if this is a moon eclipse or not. But it most definitely is either the surface of the Earth getting in front there or the moon's moving. Or not the moving, but the satellite is there in that position that it's catching that. Now, let me show you how this satellite moves. Okay, because this is where it's going to give you some understanding. Okay, now here's the actual view. This is as if you're sitting on the satellite. Okay, and you see how there went the Earth. You see that? That's why. That right there is why you're seeing that. Okay, the Earth is eclipsing the sun in relation to the satellite. Okay, there it goes. See that? Now, why did we see it go up and reverse back? Well, this is why. See this? Okay, that's the satellite, and that's how it orbits. It's in a figure 8 pattern. If you notice, see that yellow line? That's where the sun's at. If you notice, right where the figure 8 starts to bend and go back the other direction is right when the sun passes it. Okay, right there. Okay, so that is why that looks like a figure 8. Not a figure 8, but that is why it looks as though, the sun was here. It looks as though an object went whoop. Okay. I showed you guys one about 6 months ago that it actually went in about halfway into the sun and looked like it dead stopped and then went the other direction. Now I'm only showing you guys. I've showed you guys a bunch of times, but I want you guys to understand, for those that are new, especially, don't freak out if you see this. Inevitably, you're going to have somebody out there make a video claiming this is something that it's not. Okay, and that's the main reason why I'm doing this, so people don't get freaked out. So yeah, so there you go for that. Now, we are expecting some solar wind here in the next couple days. So, you know, be ready for that. We are taking some hits on our magnetosphere. And I'm going to show you a couple of captures here. All right, guys, this was on the 21st. This is something Scott caught, okay? Again, it's the object that we were talking about, right? This is one of the better ones that we've caught in a very long time. I would have to say that, yeah, it's up there. Now look at that, okay? Now it's in the position it's supposed to be in on the day that it's supposed to be there, okay? I'm not really going to go much more into that, other than I'm going to show you guys something here in a second that might help you understand why. And I think some of this might even clear up some of the confusion that people have about what we're talking about here. Okay, and then there you got that. And again, guys, go look at this for yourself, please. Please go look. We always leave the timestamps. I've shown you guys how to navigate the tools. If you don't know how, you know, go back and watch a few of my videos where I put it in the title what I'm doing. You guys can go check those out, or, you know, email me and or you can go over to planetxnews.org and the links are there. Okay, so I mean, there's ways to get to these things, right? I encourage everybody to go look for themselves. Make up your own mind, right? So yeah, so as you're looking at this, you can see. I mean, and the only reason why we put filters on these things is to make it easier for you guys to see. Okay. That top picture I showed you, obviously you guys can see that right there. Scott puts this in his programming, and first thing he usually does is like slow it down, because a movie, like a regular movie, is like 60 frames per second. Okay, and that's really not that high of a frame rate. All right, what you're seeing here is one capture like every 12 minutes. So you can see how all that can not be seen because of that very reason. So when we look at these and we show you guys what looks to be a movie, it's more so a slideshow. Okay, it's like it's a time lapse is what it is. But you're only getting they just put it right next to each other and they have it move at a certain speed. So that's how you have to think about this. That's why we only catch this in 1 or 2 frames. This is what happens. Okay. So hold on a second here. Okay, guys, this right here. All right. Now I just showed you the one, right? That was the 20th. I'm sorry, it was the 21st, 2020. Well, this is the 2019, February 20th. This is exactly a year ago. Okay, within about 12, 14 hours. About that time frame. Essentially, it's the same exact time. So, to put this in perspective, why am I showing you this? Well, because this is in the exact same spot as it was exactly a year ago. Ask yourself what the chances are of that happening. Number one, that it had pretty much the same size of a CME, little ejection here. Number two, for it to be in the exact same spot. Number three, for it basically to look the same. Number four, something else we haven't talked about yet, and we're going to in a future video, we're seeing this more often. That little arm right there, okay, where that's connecting, it's reaching out, looks to be. Okay, and we'll go into that. Me and Scott's been talking about what that actually is or what it could be. And we'll go into that later on. My video is already going too long for me to talk about it today. But I do want to clear something else up, right? I've shown you guys this before, but I'm going to try to do it again just really quick. Now, this thing is going to look bigger and smaller just by different days, okay? And it's all about perspective. It's all about angles and how far this thing is away from the satellite, right? At different times of the year, it's different positions, correct? Now, we orbit the sun like this. Right? That's pretty much the Earth's orbit. This object is orbiting like this. So, just for example, say we are here and we're seeing this object, right? Right there. Now, we go a month in advance. That object's still going to be in that same spot, but we're seeing it here and it's going to look like it's in a different position. Okay, now it's going to be relatively in the same position, but it doesn't necessarily. There's a few months there that it looks like it's not in the right position, but it actually is, just because of the orbiting of the Earth and the inclination of this orbit. Okay, now I know it's kind of hard to understand without seeing a three-dimensional model. I wish I had one of those for you guys. I just don't. I don't know how to do that. I wish I did. Scott did put together a little small animation, but it can't really show you, size and all that kind of thing, because we don't know what this thing is made out of. We can only speculate. There's a lot about this we just don't know. We can't know it, right? So, and there's some theories that we're kicking around, because it does look like it does seem to be like it might be getting a touch bigger. Not for sure. That could be all angle, or it could be that it's actually gaining some material, kind of like an asteroid. Okay, me and Scott was talking about this, and he used the analogy like slag when you're welding. It's kind of the same thing. It's kind of how, at a very basic level, without going into too much detail, when an asteroid is growing, that's kind of what it's doing. Especially when there's heat involved. But so yeah, that's exactly 1 year apart, exact same position, almost looks like the exact size of a CME. We had this little thing pumping out there again, right? So there you go. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this, but please do yourself a favor. Go look at this stuff for yourself. Please. That is, when I started my channel, that was my main goal. I wanted to show everybody how to navigate these tools and go look for themselves. And I still do that. I try to do it as much as I can. If I did that every video, that would be all we talked about. And frankly, it would probably get pretty boring. So, if you go back and you look at some of my other videos, you'll be able to see how to navigate this stuff. And I ain't saying I ain't going to never show it again, because I will. I'll show you guys how to navigate on seeds. I do it periodically on purpose, sometimes anyway. But I just wanted to show you guys that, because that is most definitely one of those things that we need to pay attention to. And for it to be, again, guys, exactly year to day, within 12 hours. Same exact, ask yourself what the chances of that actually is. Okay? Without that having to be something that, right there, right? What's the chances of that actually just by happenstance happening? It's got to be astronomical. No pun. Okay? Seriously. So, anyway, guys, I am going to leave it there. I'll probably pop out with another video here the next day or two. I'm working on something that's a little different. But anyway, yeah. So, have a good start to your week, guys. God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.